there are two major trends that we're seeing at the moment in refugee flows worldwide. The first is that the number of people who are being forcibly displaced is on the increase. In the numbers you mentioned earlier, there's actually been a slight increase in those numbers over the past year. We now have 43.7 million people who are forcibly displaced, and that's a combination of internally displaced persons, refugees and asylum seekers. There are about 15.4 million refugees in the world, and that's up from 15.2 last year. So we're seeing now increasing numbers of people fleeing persecution and seeking protection in other countries. But unfortunately, the other major trend that we're seeing is that people who are forced to flee persecution are not finding a solution to their plight. Last year, traditionally the major solution for people who have fled persecution is to return home when the situation that's forced them to flee has been resolved. But at the moment, we're just not seeing that happen with the major refugee crises around the world. Last year, only 200,000 people were able to return home safely, and that's the lowest number that we've seen in 20 years. And at the moment, we've got about 7.2 million people living in what the UN calls a protracted refugee situation, and that means a large population of people have been displaced for a period of 5 years or more. And the or more is more the norm than the exception, as in people have been displaced now for 20, 30 years in some cases. And at the same time as that, we've got a good global resettlement program that is trying to provide a solution to people who are in this kind of situation, but it remains rather static at around 80,000 places a year. And of course, when you've got 15.2 million refugees, 15.4 million refugees in the world, that doesn't go very far, and there's no substantial increase in that. The UN's been estimating that upwards of 700,000 people, 700,000 to 800,000 people are in need of resettlement over the coming years, and we've got only about 80,000 places a year that are available.